Hey guys, welcome to the newest episode of the Bearded Gamer Show. I know it's been a while, we kind of took last week off, except I did have a little live stream for those of you who may have noticed. I did upload it to YouTube. It was like an hour long. But indeed, I'm going to get more and more into the sort of live streaming, you know, maybe doing some video game footage and talking about current events and talking about what I'm playing. So just check out twitch.tv/Bearded Gamer Show. And of course, I'm your host, the Bearded Gamer. Yeah. Awesome, right here in the bearded form, Chris Arnone. All right, let's get straight into some good news, bad news. So I got a mostly good news week going on. I'm just in a good mood. What can I say? All right. So first up is SteelSeries has introduced this brand new Siberia V2 Pink Edition. I know you're going, oh my God, I'm a dude. I don't want to watch something. I don't want to wear something pink on my head. It's for breast cancer, okay? Save the boobs, go buy these, wear them on your head, and be just that much more awesome. I tell you what, you want to attract chicks while you're wearing a headset, it's kind of hard. Wear these. Done. Tip from the Bearded Gamer. My girlfriend's hot, all right? Listen to what I say. It will help you, okay? Just go with it. All right. Next up, some more good news. This is great stuff for our friends, our gamer friends down under. Australia finally has an R18 plus rating, so they can get games like Duke Nukem Forever and Hitman, and you know, maybe some good games too. But all that stuff that's really, you know, violent and harsh, and you know that the poor Australians have not gotten to get a hold of their ultra-violent games. I feel so sad for them. They've just had to deal with like Nintendo stuff, and yeah. Anyway. More good news. Now, some of you may watch the Blizz Planet shows that I do, so I've already talked about this a little bit, but the Diablo III patch 1.0.3 has come out. And this is big news for anyone in gaming because there was a lot of fixes and nerfing that was done on this one to help balance things out. Like I know they reduced the cost on a lot of crafting, on upgrading your blacksmith, on combining your gems. Some major reductions there. They've nerfed Inferno significantly. So just, you know, a lot of tweaks and balances, a lot of things that people have been complaining about are being fixed in this. And the big key thing is they're making it better to play with a friend. Because right now, like the way they up the monster damage when you play with a friend makes it just not worth it. So now to have it, you know, to where you're really getting a benefit by playing multiplayer, it should be just good stuff. Next up is, I guess I'll have to call this a piece of news, though for me it's mostly good news. EA was recently talking about a couple new relaunch/reboots, and they said Syndicate did poorly. I don't care. So why I think it's good news is they said the SSX relaunch went really well. I'm a huge fan of SSX. Anyone who watches this show knows this. I was very excited about the new one. Give it a pretty good review over on gamerreview.com. So okay, it's good. Make another one and give me my multiplayer. Okay, the little, you know, global challenges, that's not enough. I want some split screen. I want to actively race against my friends. Give me better game. Okay, some more good news. Of course, Kickstarter has just been huge for games and game companies recently. And That Game Company, you know, famous for stuff like Journey and Flower and Flow, they do all kinds of cool stuff on PSN, raised $5.5 million, so they are going multi-platform. That's right, so they're not just gonna be exclusive to PSN now. The Xbox 360 crowd will be able to get their hands on them too. And you know, I don't take part in the console war. For me, it's just good games getting the hands of more gamers is always good. And for my money, That Game Company is one of the best smaller development houses out there. So it's just fantastic stuff. So that about wraps up the news. We're gonna roll into a controller confessional. So recently, Warren Spector, now this is the guy behind a lot of like Disney games, he was behind Deus Ex Human Revolution, he came out and kind of complained about the recent E3 2012. And his problem was he said there were just too many ultra-violent games and that it needs to stop. He said the ultra-violent games just have got to stop. And I'm not sure I completely agree with him. You know, he tries to justify it by talking about Deus Ex Human Revolution. Now, I love this game. And he talks about like if you were to kill a dog in Deus Ex Human Revolution, that it would fall over and a pool of blood would start to, you know, spill out underneath it. So that you understand the effect of what you did, that you killed a creature and there it lay. And the same with any other person in the game that you kill, their body stays there. And a lot of his fear was he sees this sort of ultra violence, whether it be slow-mo or extra blood or whatnot, and you kill someone and then, you know, you go a little bit further in the level, and if you were to come back, their body and the blood is just all gone. So you don't have that repercussions, the effect of the carnage that you're inflicting on this video game world. And okay, maybe. But my problem is, it's, you know, if you look at books, no one bats an eyelash if there's a book that has a lot of really violent stuff in it. At this point, no one even says anything if you have movies with really violent stuff in it, because we have rating systems in place, whatever. Even music has lost a lot of its shock value that it once had. You know, like when gangster rap really rose up in the 90s, you know, it was all over the news, or like Eminem or Marilyn Manson. You don't get much of that anymore. Video games are the hot new thing. And like those other entertainment mediums, you've got something for everybody. You know, you can totally do great, wonderful games with brilliant mechanics, some of them decent storylines, and not be violent at all. I mean, look at Nintendo's entire catalog. You know, great selling games, solid game mechanics, pretty much no violence unless you count, you know, hopping on top of a mushroom or using a sword like it's a bat. I mean, there's no blood in Legend of Zelda. It's just, they don't do violence, and it works well for them. But there is a place for that ultra violence, you know, for the people that's what they like, and they gravitate toward that. You know, at this point, I think game developers are just trying to sell games to everyone. But at the same time, you know, sometimes I think they go overboard. They go a little too gratuitous. Like I just was playing Max Payne 3, which I thought was a really cool game. It was really fun. But when you're killing like the last dude, it would go into the slow-mo section. You can just unload your guns on this guy, and there's just blood going everywhere. You're turning the guy into Swiss cheese. But admittedly, you know, maybe they're trying to make you feel like really badass. But I don't feel any more badass doing that as if I'm just beating up on somebody in Batman Arkham City, where there is pretty much no blood. I mean, yeah, it's a violent game. You're beating up on people, but Batman doesn't kill anyone. He just doesn't do that. And, you know, when you finish off the last guy in a fight in Batman Arkham City, it also does that sort of slow-mo takedown thing. But like I said, one doesn't make me feel more badass than the other. One has gratuitous, you know, gallons of blood pouring out of a guy. The other one has no blood whatsoever. So, you know, maybe people do need to think about that, is when you're putting this violence in, is it really, you know, necessary? Does it really help the game? Does it make it better? Or maybe put an option in there to turn the blood off or reduce the blood. You know, that way people, you know, more people will be attracted to your game. It's sort of the problem that movies have. R-rated movies will always sell less than PG-13 because there's so many people who just can't get there. And of course, something to always remember, my girlfriend reminded me of this, movies, books, TV, music, these are passive entertainment forms. You're not involved in it. You're just watching, you're just reading, you're just listening. Video games are active. You're involved. You're the guy pulling the trigger in Max Payne 3. So it is something to think about indeed. But still, whether I think we need to stop the ultraviolence in video games, maybe not. Just maybe developers should think a little bit more when they're using ultraviolence and figure out if that really is the best route for them to go down, or if maybe they can add a censoring option into the game. Just get more people into your game that way. That's a thought. That's my confessional this time. Let's finish up something I haven't done in a while, a hardware fetish. So this time I'm not going to be showing you any awesome hardware because it'd be really crazy and awesome if I actually had this piece of hardware. Microsoft, of course, big press conference yesterday, announced the Surface. That's what they're calling it. It's their new tablet. Now, from what I can tell, you know, they haven't admitted any, you know, actual pricing details, but it seems like they're trying to go head-to-head with Apple and their dominance of the tablet market with the iPad. So it's a higher end. You know, it's got a nice touch screen, but it also has this fold-out magnetic cover that actually has a multi-touch, full-blown keyboard that you can actually feel. Like, you can actually feel the home key, so you can type on it a lot easier than like the iPad. Now, I love my Apple devices, but I owned an iPad for a while, and admittedly, that whole typing mechanic is one of the big reasons I got rid of it. You know, I couldn't type the way I wanted to. It wasn't a decent replacement for my laptop for me. But how does this affect gaming? I always, you know, gaming. This is what this show is about. The bearded gamer, not just the bearded technophile, even though, yeah, I'm kind of that too. But, you know, when we've just been talking about Xbox Smart Glass that Microsoft announced at the recent E3, and I gotta wonder, you know, because they were all like, it works on the device you already own, and they even mentioned by name the iPhone. So they're not making it like exclusive to the Windows Phone. Nevertheless, I'm thinking it seems very likely you get some bonus features on something like a Windows Phone or the Microsoft Surface. And that could just be huge, huge when it comes to this, because I mean, there are millions of Xbox 360s out there. Now, I wish I'd done the homework to look up how many iPads are out there and how many Xbox 360s are out there. But still, if you're a new tablet customer, you have a 360 at home, you find out there's all this cool stuff it can do with your Xbox that the iPad can't, I think that'll be a big selling point for people, and especially because the Xbox 360 is really getting marketed to people beyond just the hardcore gamer. It could really, really move. And of course, the big debate is, will this Surface, will it be their next Zune, or will it be their next 360? And for people who say, you know, you can't beat Apple, they said the same thing about Sony when they went into the video game market. And look who won. So, excited to see this thing, excited to see how it'll work with Xbox Smart Glass, and how it'll affect the video game industry. And of course, keep watching the show, and I'll keep tabs on it and let you guys know. All right, that about does the show this time. We'll see you next time.